Well, hello, my name's Rosanne Hawke, and I've been asked to read a piece out of my new book, which came today, called Finding-kerra. Finding-kerra features a girl called Jamie Richards, who's in a few other books that I've written, and she's up in the far north of South Australia on a sheep station, and she's getting used to being there, and she discovers a secret in the family that she's staying with. So I'm going to read you a little bit where she and the young man who lives on the station called Blake go together with his little sister to a dam. Okay. So you have two dams. Thoughts of the pleasant time Kerra and I had spent at the home dam filled my mind, even though she'd gone on about dead rabbits. No, 20, about 7 water stops altogether, where we pump water from a bore and run it into troughs for the sheep. He said all this as though he wasn't actually sure how many there were. My eyes grew wider and he laughed. We're talking about 1,000 square kilometres, Jamie, if you count Bulkana as well. We run the two stations together. That's a 200-kilometre water run. Well, how many sheep is that? Should be 10,000. We'll be shearing soon, and then we'll see. Usually the dingoes get 1,000 or more. So there won't be 10,000 to shear. No, never is. Kerra seemed to be having fun, picking up tiny flowers. She'd left her sneakers on to avoid sharp stones and sticks. They were the washable canvas kind, and I soon found myself wishing I had some too. I'm sorry the water's low, Blake continued. We don't have a high rainfall. That's what makes it mucky. But there's nowhere else to go at the moment that's close enough. Right, close enough for me to ride to. I made another resolve, to learn to ride Rainmaker so well we could go anywhere like Rochelle could. Her mother probably gave birth to her on a horse. A penny for them. Pardon? Blake was staring at me, the corner of his mouth dimpling. What are you thinking? I was about to say he wouldn't want to know, when there was a squeal behind us. I sprang round to see Kerra in the dam with water past her chin, struggling and flapping her head from side to side. There was a frozen moment until I reacted and pulled off my jacket. A sharp sensation squeezed like giant pinches in my chest. Kerra was going to die. And then Blake's hand was on my arm, holding me back. Don't worry, she's just putting it on. Play acting to get attention. It didn't look like playing to me, and I shook off his hand. After that I don't remember thinking. I threw the jacket down and jumped in the water. It wasn't deep, but the sudden cold burned like fire and took my breath away. I swam up to Kerra and tried to pull her in. This should have been simple, but she wouldn't budge. She could hardly breathe. The water was washing over her face every time she splashed to rise and gasp at the air. My sneakers! She was gulping, flailing, swallowing mouthfuls of that dark, murky water. Her shoes were stuck in the mud. I dived, but couldn't see, and I surfaced again. After gulping air, I dived again. The water was too opaque. I couldn't even see Kerra. I rose again, worried my backwash would swamp her. Then Blake was there. Her shoes are stuck. I dived again before he did, knowing I had to try, even if he didn't. This time I felt my way down her body and legs, trying not to pull her down further. I could feel her sneakers. I fumbled for her laces, but they were lost in mud. I felt another pair of hands just as my lungs began to hurt. Blake. Kerra and I were dragged to the surface. The mud didn't give Kerra up easily. Kerra was in a full choke. I was coughing too as I helped Blake drag her, spluttering, onto the bank. I sat beside her as she rolled over and was violently sick. It looked painful. Brown muck spurted out, and I tried not to think of terrible diseases kids could get from stagnant water. It was weird after that. Even though she held my hand, no thanks were offered. The clasped hand said it for me, but there was nothing for Blake. They sat staring at each other. I couldn't imagine what they were thinking. On the way home I asked him about Kerra. Get it out in the open. Why don't you and Kerra get on? Blake shrugged. Nothing unusual, is it? All siblings fight sometimes. I guess. But I wasn't convinced. I fought with my brother Andrew and Ellie too, but it wasn't there all the time. Not like the palpable mood in the air between Blake and Kerra on the dam bank, as if that watchful truce was an illusion and their fighting was the real world. Hope you enjoy that book.